The day my own son told me not to visit his home, I smiled and said nothing. But he didn't know that life was listening. And when karma finally spoke, he came running back to me, crying like the same little boy I once raised. This is the story of betrayal, humiliation, and the moment a son realizes the true worth of a mother. My name is Ann Parker, a 61-year-old widow and mother of one. But mother of one doesn't explain the truth. Daniel wasn't just my child. He was my universe, my friend, my heartbeat, my purpose for waking up every morning. People talk about motherhood like it's a duty. For me, it was the most beautiful obsession. I still remember the nights I stayed awake sewing his torn school uniform so he wouldn't feel embarrassed the next day. I still remember the mornings I pretended I wasn't hungry so he could eat the last slice of bread. I raised him alone, and every wrinkle on my hands is a silent testimony of a sacrifice he never saw. Children don't always see the blood we spill for them until life shows them. Daniel used to call me every night, sometimes twice, sometimes just to tell me he saw a funny video. But one day, that stopped. First, the calls became shorter. Then, the calls became rare. Then, the calls disappeared completely. I would stare at my phone for hours, telling myself, "He'll call, Mom. He must be busy. He must be tired. He'll remember you." And then, his tone changed too. Sharp, cold, rushed, like I was a task he needed to finish quickly. A mother's heart knows when love begins to step back and something else steps forward. Then came the day Daniel said he was bringing someone home. I cleaned the house twice, changed the curtains, baked his favorite cake, ironed my best dress. When Emily entered, I saw the kind of girl Daniel would fall for. Confident, stylish, educated, well-spoken. But warmth? It was missing. Her handshake was firm but cold. Her smile was polite but empty. Her eyes scanned my house like she was inspecting an old museum. And deep inside, something whispered, "Be careful, Anne. This girl may take more than your son's heart." Within a month, they married. Everything was fast, almost rushed. The first time I visited their home, Emily served me tea. But the cup wasn't washed properly. Oil stains, a lipstick mark. I pointed it out gently because I didn't want her to feel embarrassed, but she smirked and said, "We don't usually have old people over, so our cups aren't grandma-friendly." Daniel laughed. That laugh hurt more than her words. For a second, I felt like a stranger in a home my son should have protected for me. Inside, something cracked, not loudly, just enough to echo in my chest. One evening, Daniel didn't answer my calls. 10 missed calls, no response. Worried, I took a bus and went to their house. As I reached the doorway, I heard voices. Emily's voice, sharp, annoyed, cruel. "Your mother doesn't fit into our lifestyle. She's outdated. She dresses weird. She acts weird. I feel uncomfortable when she comes." Daniel sighed and said, "I know. I'll talk to her. Maybe she should stop coming so often." Every word stabbed deeper. I didn't walk away. I escaped quietly, like a thief running with a broken heart. That evening, Daniel called me back. His voice was calm, too calm. "Mom, listen, don't come over without telling me first. Emily gets uncomfortable." I whispered, "I always call before coming." He breathed heavily. "I know, Mom, but still, it's better if you don't visit often. We're married now. We need privacy." Privacy from me. That day, I understood what loneliness really feels like. I said, "All right, son, if that makes you happy." But happiness felt like a foreign country I no longer had a passport to. Weeks turned into months. No knock on my door, no message, not even a good morning text. I cooked alone. I ate alone. I sat at the table with one extra plate, hoping. Loneliness doesn't kill. It dissolves you slowly until even your shadow feels like someone else's. One night, my phone rang. Daniel. My heart jumped like it used to when he was a child. I picked up immediately, but his voice wasn't normal. It was shaking. "Mom, I'm outside. Please open the door." I rushed. When I opened the door, Daniel stood there, eyes swollen, hair messy, hands trembling, a small travel bag beside him. Behind him, Emily, arms crossed, face red, breathing heavily. Trouble had followed him home. Emily screamed, "Your mother controls you. She ruined our marriage. Everything is her fault." People in the hallway peeked from their doors. Daniel lowered his head, humiliated. He said softly, "Emily, she's my mother. I can't leave her." Emily pointed at me like I was some disease. "Then get out, Daniel. If you choose her, you lose me." And she slammed the door shut. The echo of that door, it didn't just hit the walls. It hit Daniel's soul. Daniel collapsed into my arms like the same 6-year-old boy who used to cry when he broke a toy. Only difference was, now it was his heart that was broken. "Mom, I have nowhere to go." I stroked his hair and whispered, "You'll always have me, son. Always." He cried into my shoulder for minutes, maybe hours. Sometimes when a child breaks, a mother becomes the glue again. Daniel stayed with me for a week. He barely ate, barely slept, barely spoke. One night, I heard him crying in the bathroom. Not loud, just broken. I didn't knock. Some pains need to be released privately. But life had another twist ready. One afternoon, the doorbell rang. Emily. Not angry, not proud, just shattered. Her mascara streaked down her cheeks. Her voice trembled. "Is he here?" She stepped inside without waiting. For the first time, she wasn't the queen of the room. She was a lost girl. Emily sat on my sofa, wringing her fingers nervously. She whispered, "I ruined everything. I pushed him too hard. My insecurities, my jealousy, my fears." Her voice cracked. "I treated you badly because I thought you'd take him away from me." She wiped her eyes. "I'm sorry, Anne. I truly am." I saw something in her I hadn't seen before. Humility. Daniel stepped out of his room. When he saw Emily, his face froze. Emily stood up and took one small step toward him, but stopped when he didn't move. Silence filled the room like fog. Then Daniel asked, "Mom, what should I do?" Not Emily, not what should we do. He asked me, because deep down, a son always returns to the place he first learned love. I walked toward Emily. She looked terrified, expecting I would insult her or throw her out, the same way she threw my son out. But instead, I took her shaking hands into mine and said softly, "Marriage isn't winning or losing. It's choosing each other again and again, even on hard days." Her tears flowed without permission. Daniel stared at me, confused. He didn't expect kindness, not after every inch she did. But a mother doesn't add fire to fire. She becomes water. Emily turned to Daniel and said, "I didn't respect your mother or our marriage. I let my ego ruin everything, but I want to fix it. If you let me." Her voice cracked like thin glass. Daniel didn't answer, not out of anger, but because he was scared. Fear of breaking again. Fear of trusting again. His silence was his wound. That night, Daniel sat beside me and whispered, "Mom, why did you forgive her?" I smiled. "Because if I didn't, you would have suffered again, and I can't watch you break a second time." He held my hand tightly, the same way he did before his first school exam. In his silence, I felt gratitude he didn't know how to express. Next morning, Daniel packed his bag. Every movement was slow, hesitant. Emily stood outside on the street. No makeup, no pride, just a girl who realized the price of losing love. Daniel walked toward her. Their eyes met. For the first time, there was no anger, just fear of losing each other forever. Sometimes pain repairs what pride destroys. Before they left, Emily turned to me, her voice barely a whisper. "Anne, I will never disrespect you again. I swear, I learned my lesson." But it wasn't her words that convinced me. It was her eyes. Eyes don't lie when someone has tasted loss. 1 month later, Daniel called me, but this time his voice had warmth. "Mom, Emily and I made dinner. We would love it if you join us." This wasn't an instruction. This wasn't a complaint. This was love returning home. Emily opened the door before Daniel could. She hugged me, tight and sincere. Life had completed its circle.